Some reminders before the AP Physics exam. Make sure you get all of your time. If your proctor does not start at the top of the minute, then make sure they don't end at the top of the minute. If you have 30 seconds left, make sure you get those 30 seconds. Every second counts. Which leads me to the next point. Don't waste time on questions that require a lot of time. Don't fall for the bread at the beginning of the buffet. Don't waste time. Every second counts. Make sure you're able to go through the multiple choice, especially, at least twice. First time answering all the questions you know for sure you're going to get, and the questions you know for sure you can get quickly. Remember, every second counts. So if you get to a question where you feel like maybe you can get it, put a little star down, come back to it later. If you get to a question that you feel like you don't have any idea how to start, put 2 stars down. So that way you can come back to those after you get through the 1-star questions. You could run into a wall of questions where you're putting down 2 stars, 2 stars, 2 stars. If you have to skip 3 questions in a row, stop where you are in the multiple choice and flip to the back and then work backwards. Right in the middle, there's going to be a chunk of problems that are pretty difficult. So don't waste time trying to solve them. Remember, we're going through looking for the gettable questions right off the bat. When you're at the end of the exam of multiple choice, the last 5 questions for the 2014 exam are multiple select, which means you have to select 2 answers. If you find yourself in a situation where you're having to guess blindly, maybe you're out of time and you realize there's only 10 or 15 seconds left and you're bubbling in, if any of the last 5 questions are questions you have to guess, make sure you're selecting 2 answer choices. If you are guessing on any of the other questions and you only have to select 1, then make sure you have a set letter. Bubble all B's, if that's what it is. Or bubble all C's, if you prefer. Or D's. Just pick one and stick with it for your blind guesses. If you're not blind guessing, you should be able to at least eliminate 2 answer choices. This gives you a 50% chance of getting the question correct for the regular multiple choice and about a 60% chance to get the multiple select correct. If you have a bunch of time left and you're working on those 1 or 2 star questions, then go ahead and work through them. If you don't know where to start on a question, use the guess method that we learned earlier in the year. List out all of the givens, write down the unknown, what the question's asking you for, and then try to find an equation or 2 that will help you develop a relationship. Figure out which equation you can use and then solve for whatever it is you need to find. Usually is as simple as that. Even if it's not a mathematical question, because then you can at least look at the dependence. Is y directly proportional to x, or is it inversely proportional? That sort of thing. For your experimental design FRQs, start with an equation or 2 on the equation sheet. Set it up in a way that fits the situation. Then get it set to y equals mx plus b, giving you your slope to be whatever the question is asking for. When you're justifying an answer or response, do not say it. It is a bad word. Use nouns, as many nouns as possible. Pretend like I am the person grading your test and I don't know what in the world you're saying to me. I'm a complete idiot. As you're reading questions, make sure you're underlining important things, like collision. Collision tells us we need to use conservation of momentum. Height and speed, if you see both of those in the same problem, we're using conservation of energy. A spring and a height, conservation of energy. A spring and a speed, conservation of energy. If you see friction is negligible, that means we don't need to worry about friction. Same thing for air resistance. If you see mu in the problem, then that means that you need to use friction. Everybody's going to have a strength. You do whatever it is you need to do to get as many points as possible. Just focus on that and stay calm. Make sure when you answer your FRQ questions, you are not using erasable pens. If you are using a pen or a pencil and you make a mistake, do not erase the mistake. It takes up way too much time, and you're going to wish you had those seconds back at the end of the exam. So just cross it out like you would for a pen, whether you're using pen or pencil. However, if you made a mistake on a graph, make sure you erase that clearly. When you're drawing a line of best fit, use a ruler or straight edge. If you don't have a ruler, use a second pencil. Use your calculator. Fold the page up. Make sure you're using a straight edge. We're not sketching and we're not freehanding. Go to bed early, get some sleep, start de-stressing now. If you go into an exam with any kind of stress in your brain, you are going to have mental blockages, and it's not going to serve you very well. And when you wake up in the morning, wake up a bit earlier than you think you would need, just to get that extra time. Take a little bit longer of a shower, just to get extra energy. Turn the water on cold, that'll wake you up even more. Make sure you eat something. 3.5 hours in a room is a very long time. Make sure you figure out who is going to talk to everybody or yell out, put your calculators in degrees, especially if you took your AP Calc exam earlier in the week. You're probably in radians. Make sure we're in degrees, unless we need to use radians. When you draw free body diagrams, make sure that you are labeling all of your forces. If there is a surface, then we use a normal force. If an object is in the air, you will not use a normal force. If an object is moving or is sliding, then we should not have any applied force. That applied force only comes from the touching of the object. If the object is sliding, then friction will always oppose sliding. So it should go in the opposite direction. If you find yourself having to derive an expression, then start off with an equation or two on the equation sheet. Set it up to fit the situation. Is kinetic energy in the beginning, or is it spring potential energy in the beginning? Do you have multiple forces? For the net force, the stuff that makes it go minus the stuff that holds it back equals ma. What makes it go specifically? Is it the spring? Is it friction? Make sure you figure that out. Then you're going to use algebra to solve for what the question is asking you for. And then at the very end, before you're finished, check the variables. Make sure that if the problem says express your answer in terms of capital M, you are not using lowercase m. If it says in terms of V naught, do not have VF or do not have just V. You need to have V naught on there. That's it. This is it, the end of the year. A whole year of physics. Finally, we get our exam at the very end. This is a very passable exam, and you can pass it. Get rid of your negativity, get rid of your stress, let it all go, breathe, and have a nice test tomorrow.